Hey guys, know it's been a while, but welcome to another Now let's see here. Ooh, grass starters. The first of three options at the start of every aspiring trainer's journey. They are cute and unassuming at first, then become hulking behemoths capable of reshaping the earth to their whim, in concept that is. Looking back to older generations, grass starters always seemed uncool and unappealing in many ways, and I still stand by that. The transition from small reptile to bigger reptile to an even bigger reptile didn't stick in my 10-year-old undeveloped brain. That's why I left Typhlosion. Now thinking back on early generations again, the general consensus was that each grass starter was based on some prehistoric animal, Pheasansaur being the Beelzebufo, Meganium the Bronchiosaurus, Septile Diplosaur, Superior Titanoboa, and Chestnut Diducarus. However, recent generations have been less dinosaur-oriented with additions like bird and monkey. With bird and monkey being put on the scene, people struggled to find a connection between the grass starters. That was until I stepped in, and I did some research until I found a guy with the answer. User Archangel X on GameFAQs had the theory of dinosaur starters being actual dinosaurs, Sivy being the transition towards mammal, Trespin being the first of mammals, Rowlet being bird mammal, and Grookey, well, Grookey wasn't included because the post was like 4 years ago, but you get the point. Thank you, friendly internet person. With all that in mind, what will come next? What did my super developed ultra instinct brain think of? A bear. But not just any bear. A brown bear. I know. My genius scares me sometimes too. Now, bears were my first option. Initially, it was a fruit bat, to a goat, to a red panda of all things. But looking at the environments in Greece/Rome, yes, my region is in Greece/Rome, bears were some of the most well-known in those parts, along with a wide variety of like 2 myths about them. With that being said, let's get into the process. Little disclaimer first, I designed the first stage on my computer, got my iPad, then redrew it, so here are some quick beta sketches of the bear. I promise most designs hereafter will strictly be from the iPad, and there will be a little surprise for those who stick around to the end of the video. Probably. Now obviously the starter can't just be a bear, there has to be something more to it. There's the extinct eyeless bear, which could tie into the theory of early mammal, but that wasn't enough. For example, why would it be grass type? Looking at the behavior of bears, they are solitary by nature except when in family groups of mother and cubs. Bears may congregate in areas of high food density such as oak stands, berry patches, or farm fields. That's when it hit me, making a hierarchy of little cubs fighting to protect each other and creating an economy of berries and such. Having little foot soldiers running around in packs was too cute to pass up. The term foot soldier is also where the idea of the cub resembling that of a foot soldier wearing a helmet and cape came from. Soldiers may not actually wear capes, though it might be cool. Just imagine how a little cub might imagine a tough soldier to look like. Looking at other references like cadets and ghillie suits, Cubette was created. Now, I haven't seen many Fakemon artists make concept sheets for the starters or Fakemon in general, but it's a good way for the viewer to understand how this living, breathing animal functions. I usually create them for every design, and I decided to include them for each stage in this video. Let me know if you like this format or if I should omit it. Cubette, the soldier Pokemon. Cubette naturally hunt in large groups, harvesting plants and acorns as natural camouflage and armor. They occasionally target other wildlife, but are partial to sweet foods, berries especially. The ones who return the most bountiful harvests are bestowed the most durable armor, but the ones that fail to meet the quota are stripped of their protection and outcast from the pact. For the Evo, I started with a ninja bear, a fairly overdone and simple concept. I made dozens of sketches surrounding the idea, then threw out the window, but not completely. I tested some other ideas like a backpacker for example, but nothing really captured the look I wanted. It got so bad in fact, that I stopped trying entirely, until I designed other mons. But the idea of the grass starter still lingered in the back of my super developed ultra instinct brain. That's when I remembered the concept of the first stage. What if Cubette's life in his community was no more and was forced to survive on his own? That's also when guys, I'm still here. I'll be right back. I'm the new host here, do me a favor and keep quiet. Anyways, that's when the ninja concept came back into the fray, but instead of a ninja, a rogue seemed more fitting. A rogue by definition is a mischievous scoundrel. What if Cubette did something to get exiled from his community and resorted to stealing and dishonesty to live his new life? With this new concept in mind, I got to sketching. Now, the majority of you guys might find it weird that the second stage of the starter made such a drastic change, but that was within good reason. I'll get into the details after showing out the full line, but know that it will be the connecting force between each of the starters. The build art from the Ninja Bear design made into the concept sheet of the finalized design, though I wanted to incorporate it in a way that wouldn't clutter it. Thankfully, the cloak was the perfect way to add a concealed weapon to the mix. As for the ammunition, it'd be quite funny if the berries it once ate for survival was now used as a weapon. As for where we get the berries, maybe it steals from its old buds, and or maybe it steals from local grapevines. A bit of world building is always nice. Rogrissa, the rogue Pokemon. As they are lone hunters, Rogrissa resort to stealing grapes from local vineyards as a source of food. After being outcast from the pact, Rogrissa hide the hollowed remnants of their armor as conventional blow darts and use berries in their fluff for ammunition. If you thought I struggled with the second stage, then the third stage is worse. Okay, so I had a pretty good idea for what I wanted for the final stage. At least I thought I did. The type was the first thing I settled on, Grass Dark, but that's pretty much all I had to go off. I would have done fighting, but Chestnut already exists, and Ragursa's dark type had to carry over to the final stage. I started with a quadruped grizzly bear to show off a more feral side, but I really wanted to incorporate some sort of weapon into the design, like Ragursa's blow dart. I tested some bipedal designs, one with a heroic stance, but it didn't feel like a dark type. Then a sort of knightly look. Then lead towards Greek heroes like Hercules, but the idea of ultra powerful heroic idols didn't really fit the dark type. My last attempt was a combination of all the previous designs, a semi-heroic look with a spear and helmet. I think I might have snapped every design because, once again, I stopped trying entirely. It seemed like my brain wasn't as super developed in ultra instinct as I thought. After some time, 2 months to be exact, I decided to come back with a fresh outlook. I needed something that added on to Ragursa, but tie the whole line together. Something that hasn't been done before, but fits the final stage look. Cobbette's armor and cape, Ragursa's blow dart and cloak. Where did they come from? Just then, a surge of creative energy in my super developed ultra instinct and handsome brain flowed in like a fat man on a water slide. Where did these accessories come from? I never gave it a second thought when designing it, but maybe subconsciously, these little details would be the deciding factor in the final stage. You know the drill. Back to the drawing board. The answer to where the accessories came from was pretty simple. A wooden helmet and big leaves will come from a big tree, obviously. I like the idea of a backpacker carrying a tree trunk and being one with the forest. After some initial designs, I was very happy with the idea, but the body shape seemed a little awkward. So I returned to the last shape and just attached the new ideas with it. With help from Crabomalix on Insta, go check him out in my Insta at Mithra region, I was able to finalize the proportions and give Barrier a Bear Grylls-esque survival look, which I was really content on. For a concept sheet, I wanted to portray a very crafty Mon, able to utilize his resources to help his former stages to survive. Also, it would be very cute for every final stage starter concept sheet to have an homage to the whole line, with each stage interacting with each other. Again, world building is always great. Barrier, the survivalist Pokemon. Barrier are lone hunters, learning to survive by any means possible. Their harsh demeanor is contrasted by their sharp crafting skills, able to make weapons for whatever situation calls for. Though crafty, they only make tools for those they are fond of, primarily Cobbette and Ragursa, as a reminder of their past struggles. This line has cemented its way into my heart concept-wise as it's the most involved I've ever been. I mentioned before that it might be weird that the starter made such a drastic change from the first to second stage. To understand that reasoning, look no further than the hero's journey. If you've ever seen any recent tales of heroism or past high school, you'd know that the hero's journey is a narrative archetype that involves a hero who goes on an adventure, learns a lesson, wins a victory with that newfound knowledge, and returns home transformed. Applying that to the grass starter, Cobbette is exiled and is forced to adapt to the unknown environment, resorting to thievery as a Ragursa, then applying his newfound knowledge and helping those with skills as a Barrier. Of course, it doesn't follow the format exactly, but it shouldn't, as that would be boring and too hard to implement into 3 relatively simple designs. As you might have guessed, or not, the unifying theme between all 3 starters will be the hero's journey. As the player grows and overcomes challenge after challenge, so too will their partners. Now, as a reward for those patient viewers, I decided to include one of the full arts I made featuring Cobbette in a mysterious forest, as well as one of the tracks I made for the game. Sit back and enjoy the time lapse. Well, that's all I got for y'all. Be sure to check out my Insta for up-to-date looks on every mod design so far, and be sure to DM me any questions, or if you just want to say hi. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Get back. Bodhi said like and subscribe. See you in the next one. You're being a pain in the ass, you know that?